Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm going to be showing you another Ev3 robot I've created and designed myself with some code I put into it. And this one is basically a prototype lawnmower. And the way it works is you can see there, that's the blade, I guess if you will, and it spins around like that. The treads here are the movement, left tread, right tread, whatever. And then I added these little things on the front because it kept tipping forward, and those seem to help a bit. In the back, there's just some basic supports. Everything's just connected up here. There's this touch button, and I'm going to explain what that does later. And this I just added so I could try it out in remote control. But I have four programs here. One of them is the one I'm going to be mainly focusing on, but I do want to show off the other two. The first one's called Basic Mow, and it really all it does is just spin the motor. The blade doesn't do anything. So that one was just me testing it out, and yes, it does work. So then I did this one because I was trying to make it a way so that basically it's perfect for every lawn, because you could input the size of what your yard, in air quotes, yard would be. So let's say your yard is like 1 foot in length like this, and then let's say, but it's really wide, so it goes on for quite a while. I'm trying to figure out a way to do that, right? And so here I was testing out what a foot would be in rotations. So he's going forward exactly a foot, and he stops like that. So I tested that out, and I found how many rotations it was for a foot. I'll check in the code later, but I believe it's either 3.3 or 4.3. Anyway, that many rotations goes exactly 1 foot forward. So then this next one, I just made it mow and drive forever, I'm pretty sure. And it just keeps going forward forever, mowing and driving. Oh, never mind. It also turns around. So the width is how many times it turns around, and the length is how far it goes every time it turns around. Ugh, he's gonna crush himself on my leg. So this next one is the most impressive one, in my opinion. It took a while to figure out, and I almost gave up at one point, and I'll explain that in the coding later. But basically, it's going to ask you to input the length and then the width of what your yard is, basically. And then I'm just going to show you as I go. So it says input length. I'm going to hold it in. 1, 2. So 2 feet in length. He says input width. And we're just going to say, wait for it, 1 foot in width. So it's going to go 2 feet forward. Then it's going to turn around, and that's the one width. Then it's going to go 2 feet forward again, and then turn around and be done. Now I can change that as well. So that was 2 foot length, 1 foot width. So let's input it again, and we'll say 1, 2, 3, and we'll say 2 for width. 1, 1, 2. It's going to go forward 3 feet for the 3 foot length, and turn around once for the second width. And it's not perfect on the aiming, but I tried to get as perfect as I could. So there's 1 width right there. And it's going to go its second width, which is 3 feet forward. Turn around and finish its second width. Since I said 2 width and 3 length. It's going to turn around one more time to get it back to its resetting position, and then it'll be done. Or crash into the wall. That works too, you know. So yeah, I'm going to show you how the coding works now, so let's hop over onto the computer. So here we are in the coding part of the lawnmower robot. As you can see, the basic mow is super simple. It just infinitely repeats. The medium motor, then the mow and drive, gets a tiny bit more complex. You have the simple mow here, also splitting into the movement, which goes this amount forward, then turns clockwise 180 degrees, then does the same amount forward as before, and then turns counterclockwise 180 degrees and repeats that infinitely. And then the 1 foot drive, I kept testing it out, and I found it to be 3.3 rotations on this speed. You have the mowing again. But this is the part that I said I almost gave up on. Because this one is significantly bigger and way more complex than the other one. And we're going to be going through this entire thing, so I hope you're ready. So, at the very beginning of this program, way over here, we have a simple audio recording, and it's going to ask you to input the length. And for that, it starts off with a color switcher. And I have this variable called color, and you'll see that again with color 2 later. But this color, it starts off one color, and then it waits a second, and it says, if he's still holding it, then here with this variable called length, because it wants to know how long it is, you're going to add 1. Then it's going to say, okay, is he still pushing it in? Yes, so it's going to repeat back here, and then it's going to switch the color to let you know, hey, I've registered that you want 1. And it's going to wait a second and say, is he still pushing it in? All right, and if so, it's going to add another one and keep doing that till this one right here says, oh, he's not pushing it in anymore, in which case it'll stop everything, this whole loop, giant loop, it'll stop all that and go on to the next one, and it'll register that number as length, whatever you just put in. And then it goes here, it waits 1 second, and then it's going to switch to yellow and start blinking to let you know, hey, I've registered all your length. Then it's going to say input width, and it's going to wait 3 more seconds, and you'll see this another color switcher with color 2, whole different variable, even though it's similarly named, so it doesn't get mixed up. And it does the exact same thing with a width input, and you'll see that the width input is not just called width because I have a different width one later, and that gets a little bit confusing, but I'll explain it when I get there. So it's basically doing the same thing. It's testing, is he still holding the button? If so, let's add 1 and repeat. Otherwise, just keep going. And then, once it has the width and the length being inputted, it starts the mower here, and then it takes whatever you put in as the length, multiply it by 3.3, and put that in for feet, because that's how many rotations you need. It's not just 1, but 3.3 times that, because as we learned in the 1-foot drive, it's 3.3 rotations. Then it's going to test what you inputted for the width here. It's going to test, is that the same as how far I've gone? Because regular width, not width input, but regular width is testing how far it's gone. So when it first starts out, width is 0. And so it's going to say width input, let's say you put in 2 feet like I did before. If you put in 2 feet, it's going to say 2 is less than what I've gone. So if it is, since it's less than, and it hasn't reached its goal yet, it's going to do the feet for that many rotations, and then it's going to do the turning around and stuff, and then it's going to add 1 to the width, saying, hey, I've done 1 width. And then it's going to go back here, and it's going to say, okay, now width is 1, and width input is 2, but this one is still greater than, it hasn't reached its goal yet. So it's going to do this again, it's going to add it. And then it's going to go back here, and it's going to say, width input's 2, and width is 2. Oh, we've reached the goal. So instead of doing the bottom path here, it's going to do the top path, which just stops the program. And that is how this entire thing works, which is super crazy, but when you go through it, it's really not that bad. I hope this helps you guys learn how to make your own creations. I hope this inspires you and that everyone can learn to code, because it's actually really fun once you get into it. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.